good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
What's poppin'? Greetings, Earthlings. What up? The strings attached. Greetings, Earthlings. They're connected to our president of a culture.
That's crazy what he did. He took the military out before he took the civilians. Who does that?
Under his watch.
What has he done about police reform in this country? Nothing.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First and foremost, it's free. Then there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Anchor.fm to get started.
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to Unsolicited Genius. I am your curator, Carlton Ennis. And I am with my partner in puncturing propaganda. Today's show, we will talk about President Joe Biden, the NFL season so far, and Mr. R.Kelly. We hope to give you something to ponder.
You are listening to Unsolicited Genius.
What up, Mo? What's poppin'?
Chillin', dog. What are you up to, homie? Just watching my Red Sox in these playoffs, my brother.
All right, so full disclosure, as we conduct this podcast, the Nets, Bucks are on, and your Red Sox is in these playoffs.
That is correct.
So if you hear whimpering, just know I don't care nothing about either one of these games, so it won't be me. Since last we connected, we have been to Louisiana and back. It was good to see you. We did not record, do a live. We were in deep, deep sorrow for the performance of our Florida Gators.
I didn't even want to talk about that shit.
I didn't think you did. So I will just say that I know we shouldn't expect to just walk into Death Valley and just come out with a win, with a blowout. Any given day, any given Saturday, it is a tough place to play. And that is the second time that you and I have been there for a loss. That being said, I love my Louisiana people, love New Orleans, even have a great time in Baton Rouge despite. But that was a sloppy, unfortunate performance by our team. I'll leave it at that. Everybody got to do better from the top down. That performance, in my opinion, is indicative of a culture that does not align with winning. Still nothing to add, Uncle Mo?
I understand what you're saying about it's a tough place to play, but this is a team that didn't have 7 starters. This is a team that the Florida Gators should have easily hit. But like I said, man, I don't want to talk about that shit. The Florida Gators, in my opinion, are an irrelevant college football team. So we shouldn't waste any time talking about them.
Fair enough. All right, so the other thing top of mind, plenty to get into in the news, but a lot of it, when you go down the strings attached, they're connected to our president and his administration. And as you gracefully shared with me, you have some things you would like to get off your chest.
Full disclosure, as you say, right? I voted for Joe Biden because the alternative to me that's not even a choice. You know, I can't stand Donald Trump. But Joe Biden is a complete disappointment, in my opinion. All this shit he talks about bipartisan. He can cut deals. He can't even rally his own troops. He doesn't even have all the Democrats pulling in the same direction. And I've never even heard Mitch McConnell say the word bipartisan. It's like, I think if he says it, he feels he might just explode or just light up in instantaneous combustion. I don't understand what Joe Biden is doing. He's getting nothing done. For someone that has control in both the House and the Senate, allegedly, he is getting nothing done. All I'm seeing is voting rights getting pushed back in states. Where's the federal government to do anything about it? Abortion rights are being pushed back in states. What is Joe Biden and his government doing about that? And all we keep hearing is bipartisan. Are those the people that voted him in? Are those the people that voted him in? I tend to vote Democrats, and it's not because I feel like they're so much better than the Republicans. I just feel like it's almost like the lesser of two evils at this point, if you understand what I'm saying, Carlton.
I do.
But I don't understand what Joe Biden doing. He absolutely sucks to me right now. He needs to start getting on it. He needs to get his own people in line, and he needs to start pushing through legislation that is beneficial to the American people, especially when states are just trying him and he's doing nothing about it. He's doing absolutely nothing about it. I am not impressed. I am definitely not impressed. I just don't understand what he's doing.
Well, I am conflicted, in all honesty, in being upset, into saying he sucks, into labeling his presidency. Partially
So
because
far, it's been trash.
Partially because, in my opinion, there was no alternative. And it's been a mess. It was a mess. It is a mess. It's continuing to be a mess. And there's new stuff. So, yeah, there's old stuff that hadn't been addressed, old things that had been reared dysfunctional that needed a reboot. But there's new things. There's the pandemic. There's unemployment. There's roads, bridges, all these things collapsing. There's expectations of the police. There's things happening. Everything you listed, all these things are happening under his watch. It would be great if somehow we could end this abortion discussion. Somehow we could just have people wearing masks. That, like we talked about in a previous episode, that the Haitians weren't being treated the way they were treated. But when I look at participation that he's not going to get from one side, and then who and what the Democrats are as a party being revealed before our eyes, dare I say, I don't know what he's supposed to do. I don't know what he has in him to right this ship, which he's not innocent in because he was vice president while all these things were unfolding in Obama's administration. So he is too a participant in the shenanigans of DC.
He's borderline incompetent, Carlton. Look at how he pulled people out of Afghanistan. That's crazy what he did. He took the military out before he took the civilians. Who does that? Who does that? Like, a child could come up with a better strategy than that.
We've talked about that.
That's an insane thing. What has he done about police reform in this country? Nothing. What is he doing about what southern states are doing about voting rights in this country? Nothing. And people are like, well, he's handling COVID better. Anybody could handle it better than Trump. By acknowledging it's real, you do better than Trump. You don't get kudos for that.
It had to be handled. I'm not minimizing anything that you're saying. What I'm saying is COVID required work and requires more than what you and I might think it should, but it required a presidential effort to get to where we are, which isn't where I would think.
What I'm telling you is any of those other presidential candidates could have got us to where Joe Biden has got us other than Trump. Because Trump was just like in denial that it was real at first.
Right.
Carlton, there's crucial things happening. And the biggest thing to me is the voting rights being taken from people in certain states. It's terrifying to me.
I saw a headline in Texas that said that the governor had received 3 documents for his review and signing related to zoning. I didn't dive into it, but at this point, I'm almost afraid to for what is what it is. but it's scary.
And you eloquently are talking about the Democrats are not doing what needs to be. Let's just be honest, man. The Democrats don't get anything done, and the Republicans are cutthroat. What the Republicans' agenda is, whether it's Donald Trump as president, whether it's George Bush Sr., whether it's W, they get what they want to get done. Carlton, do you see them standing there talking about bipartisanship?
I like the word incompetent, but I understand where you're going. And
no, it's true, man. They're getting nothing done, and they allegedly have control of everything. Could you imagine that happening with the Republican Party? It's almost like I can't stand Mitch McConnell, but if you were ranking politicians in Washington, D.C., if there was a power ranking, Carlton, he's number one. He's number one because it seems like he's in control, even though Joe Biden's president and the Democrats allegedly control the House and the Senate.
All right, let me do this. You got 3 minutes to entertain me. Let's play a game of what can we do? All right, so we can keep going down the list of political fault. We know it. Next episode we do, it'll be something new to talk about. But for the sake of discussion, here we are with what you and I agree on what's transpiring in our country. The Republicans, we talked about that. The Democrats, I said incompetent, you went another route. So the two parties do not have our best interests. What do? There's that third party. You got some friends that might argue just don't vote. So we know the problem. Let's brainstorm a solution or two.
I'm glad you asked this question, man. This is a very organic discussion. I didn't know you were going here with this, but I'm glad you did. Lobbyists. I believe we should be buying the things that we want and stop worrying about who's even in office, Carlton. I believe that's the route. In this country, right, they'll let you sell cigarettes that have poison in them because lobbyists pay to keep them legal so they can sell them to the people. If they can get people, the government, to allow poison in cigarettes to be sold to the citizens, I don't understand why we're not pooling our money together and just getting lobbyists to get our agenda across, the things that we need to get done. It seems like the only solution, in my opinion, and it seems that everybody that has lobbyists in Washington, D.C. gets their agenda pushed across.
What they want.
Yeah.
That is a fair statement.
The NRA and people that are for gun rights continue to get what they want because they pay lobbyists to get their agenda pushed through, while the people that are for bringing gun rights, I guess bringing them back, or some people to the extreme of getting rid of them, they don't pay for lobbyists, so they get nothing done. Okay. I really believe, Carlton, that's an avenue that just hasn't been explored, and it's really like the avenue that needs to be explored to get anything accomplished. It's like that's what gets shit done in America. Money is what gets shit done in America.
Preach. Do they say that in Islam? Y'all say preach, like when it's good to you?
I don't know, but you can. And like I've given this some thought, and I just feel like to sit there and worry about whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, is that working out? That's not working out.
It's not. So, clearly. All right, so invest in lobbyists, hire paid lobbyists, get some lobbyists. Great idea. So now, number two, you said that was the only one. Is that your final position?
No, I'm talking about in terms of dealing with the government. You know, the number one thing to me always for any people to succeed or to get money or to achieve wealth, to pool money together to do something like I'm talking about is education. The more educated people are, the more successful they tend to be. And I'm not just talking about a formal education either. You and I know plenty of brilliant people that don't have a formal education that are very successful because they are educated in their field and they're exceptional at what they do. So when I say educated, just get educated at what you want to do and excel at that and share that with the world and use that to accumulate money. Like money is important, man. Like we can't act like money isn't important.
And so is that one of your resolutions to the political party conundrum? Categorize that for me.
You're talking about education or paying for lobbyists?
Well, with the conundrum of the left and right, Democrats, Republicans.
The left and right, the paying for lobbyists.
So paying for lobbyists is a solution. I mean, the education, that's in general. Not even in general, but that's a must. Learn. Whether it's high school, college, not college, community college, trade school, being mentored by a family member, whatever that is, any opportunity to learn, you take it. Because the more you know, the less that you have for them to take away from you. If it's in your mind, it's yours. So coming back to solutions to the dilemma of the political parties, we got educate yourself for sure, invest in lobbyists. One I'm considering recently is exploring what participating in a third party actually would entail based on the distaste of what seems like we're going to constantly get from the primary two.
I don't disagree with a third party. The problem is for a third party to be successful, it's going to take years upon years upon years upon years for them to become successful. So that would be a long-term investment. And unfortunately, when it comes to politics, you have to be just as concerned with the short term as you are with the long term. Investing in a third party in this current state of politics in this country is a vote that's just going to go. It's not going to swing the election in either way because that candidate is more than likely not going to win.
You are right. And I think the reason I'm exploring it or pondering it or wanting to learn more about it is I want to stop giving my vote away to what I see. There may not be the best option, and I'm definitely not proclaiming I'm going that route for all the reasons you just expressed. But at this stage, I feel like it's worth learning.
I mean,
what it actually means.
This next election is just going to be insane, man. It's going to be Biden. It's going to be Trump again. If either one of these clowns is still alive, God, I'm not wishing anything on them, but they're very old white men. It's like, we can't do better than these two candidates, Carlton. We can't find two candidates in the United States of America that are better than Joseph Biden and Donald Trump.
I thought we would have. We have
Obviously
not. We have not.
Obviously not. Biden needs to get his shit together and get something done that's substantial, that's meaningful to the people that helped elect him to office. Because right now, it's embarrassing, in my opinion. And that's that.
And I'll leave it at that. We're going to take this break and be right back.
You are listening to Unsolicited Genius. Unsolicited Genius.
Welcome back. So, Uncle Mo, what in the sports? Before we hop into NFL, NBA, and all that other good stuff, I'm coming back to the Gator LSU game, not based on the game's outcome, but even with a win, Coach O was informed that his services will not be welcome next year. So in essence, he's been fired. So I've only read a little itsy-bitsy bit about Coach O and his behavior pattern, but I liken it to recent behavior patterns revealed to us via coaches. And I go back to the idea that as parents, we welcome these coaches into our home. We give our sons to them. Now we know NCAA, college rules, Division 1, 2, 3 through 10 is all type of different dynamics that take place associated with college football. Specifically to the coaches, they are the captains of the ship. So when I see a coach that isn't upstanding, continuing to exhibit behavior patterns that show up in other coaches, his colleagues, it starts to feel like a network of this stuff from college coaches. And so as much as we are engaged with the players being compensated, we've talked about that on this show and expressed appreciation that they're able to take control of their paths or take better controls of their paths. We got to start looking at who also is involved in their path. And I say start, but there needs to be that accountability. We talk a lot about what the players do, don't do, but these coaches get away with a lot, and some may catch up to them, as we see with Coach O and my boy Gruden, but they're in charge of our boys. And as we've said before, they got to do better.
I just look at it a little differently, man. Like, I don't look at these people as role models at all. I have no expectation of them being role models. So when things like this are found out, to me, it's not surprising. I just look at it as if you have a child that's blessed enough to have the talent to be recruited by one of these schools, just look at it as a business decision. Like, that's how truthfully you got to look at it. What is the best school to prepare your child in their athletic endeavor and to prepare them with an education as well? That's all that should matter. And you should make the decision based on that. To expect these people to be good people just because of the position they're in. I mean, look at a guy like Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban wants honesty and loyalty to the program, but, will bitch if a kid transfers or enters the portal or leaves early. But look what he did when he was the Dolphins coach. He told us he was staying. 6 days later, he was the Alabama coach. You can't look to these people to be role models. They're just people like you and I. They're flawed. And young adults, in my opinion, should make their decision based on what serves them best academically and what prepares them best if they have a future in whatever athletic endeavor they're partaking in.
All right. I'm for it. I think a business decision makes sense to me. To your point, if it is in the best interest of the child, our son, however you look at it, there's an academic opportunity, and then his athletic ability is such that this school can take advantage of it. That's one way. That is a direction to go. For sure, for sure. That is a direction to go. I think one thing that still sticks me, and not so much about Coach O, not so much about Urban Meyer, even with what you talked about with Saban and his character, his honesty, so to speak. I guess it's the one that rubs me the most is Gruden. And even though he was an NFL coach prior to his stint with the Raiders, he came across a lot of kids. He came across a lot of students, a lot of amateur athletes. And the Michelin lips on paper is funny. But all the other stuff, all the other things that he talked about, all the other things that he said, yes, they're people too, and we give them a charge. And so in giving them that charge, I would want a little more. And I agree that going forward, especially the way things are playing out, it will behoove us as parents. I'm speaking as a parent. You are a parent, to treat it like a business decision for our kids.
John Gruden is in a professional sport, man. Like, John Gruden is in well with people in the hierarchy of the NFL. Like, Bruce Allen was the president of an NFL team. Mark Davis is an NFL owner that gave him a contract that's 10 years, $100 million. You don't think they've ever heard Gruden talk like this before? I find that highly unlikely. These are elite white men hiring other white men into positions. Am I shocked that John Gruden is a bigot, is homophobic, or is racist? No, nobody's looking at the people that he's associated with. They have to be in the same boat as John Gruden, right? Think about how comfortable he is to send Bruce Allen that email. He doesn't think that's going to shock Bruce Allen to read that language from him because he knows Bruce Allen thinks like him. They're in the same boat.
So to that point, then, where I'm hoping that the investigation continues. I know
I want to see all the emails. They should let us see all the emails.
Right. Yes.
That's exactly what needs to happen. And I agree with DeMaurice Smith when he says that these emails could show that there is a hiring bias with owners and general managers in the NFL when it comes to coaches of color.
Let's do it.
You know that's got to be in there, man. The NFL conveniently leaks out certain things, like let the public see the whole thing. Just like, why did they destroy the tape? Why couldn't the public view the tapes to see what Belichick did and let the public judge on their own? But the NFL conveniently destroys the tape and they dole out the punishment and tell us, just trust us. So I want to see all these emails, man, because I don't trust you. I don't trust you at all.
Let's see the emails. Let's see the emails,
man.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it will be hard not to assume that the trail goes long. So let's get it out there and see.
Come on. The Raiders were made aware of these emails well before Gruden resigned. Gruden wasn't forced to resign or resign on his own because what he did. He had to resign. It became public.
Well, touche. You got the fact that it became public, but when it was just racial, a lot of the feedback or the commentary at least has been that when it was just racial, it was just an apology. It wasn't till the remaining aspects of his bigotry came out that it was resignation.
You mean when he made homophobic statements, it's what led to his resignation. When it was just racial, it was good that he just apologized and was going to stay on at the helm.
Well, homophobic, sexist, I think there were some pictures in there somewhere. So it's a list. But when it was simply racial, it was an apology. Let's get back to playing. So on that note, lead of racism, sexism, homophobic isms, and all the ignoranceisms stay where they be. It's not over. More to come. Let's talk about the season. Fair?
Fair.
All right. So you and I like to do a breakdown, what used to be at the quarter point. So the first 4 games. Now we got 18 weeks, 17 games. So as of the completion of this week, we're a third of the way through the NFL season. How are you feeling about what you see?
I mean, it's been a great year so far. I've enjoyed the action. It's a lot of parity. It's exciting, man. Like, I can't wait to see how it unfolds. You know, injuries, of course, are going to play a major part. Some teams have been really impressive. If we look at it division by division, right? So the NFC East, to me, is the only division that's over. The Cowboys are
hurry up. Let's get through it.
They're going to run through that division. I just don't foresee the Cowboys losing the division unless there's an injury to like Dak Prescott or something. They look superior to the other teams in that division.
Yeah, Dak has performed beyond expectation. Not just coming back from the injury, but all the money talk, all the distractions. Is he worth this? Should he have been paid it? And he balling. I think there's ways to get to him where he doesn't ball as well as he's balling, but the team collectively looks right. I can't even say it, but the Cowboys look right. So we concede the division to them. Let's move on.
Looking at the NFC West, it looks like a 2-team race between the Cardinals and the Rams. Seahawks are in trouble.
Yeah, they're in trouble.
Yeah, they don't have Wilson. They're going to try to ride out this stretch. I think it's going to be tough for them to do anything.
Yeah.
49ers, my team, coming off this bye. They could get right. They could make a run at a wild card. It's hard to foresee them making a run at the division, though. So I think that's a 2-team race between Arizona and the Rams. Arizona looks good, man.
I am so impressed with Kyler Murray because he may have showed it last year, but there were times where I wasn't confident he could truly throw. I wasn't sure he could throw all the passes. Let me say that. I knew he could launch it, but I wasn't confident he could throw all the passes. Even if I haven't sat through every minute of an Arizona game this season, every pass I've seen him throw, he's made with proficiency. So whatever he can't do, the boy can throw, the man can throw. We knew he could run. And so him in that offense, they are they should be unstoppable. The NFL is the smartest league there is, so they'll figure stuff out. But they look amazing.
I mean, I look at him, like you said, he's impressive, man. You know, look at the weapons they have. Christian Kirk at receiver. They got Randall Moore, A.J. Green. They got Hopkins. At running back, they got Connor. They got Chase Edmonds. They're impressive. And
they just signed Zach Ertz. He got some gas in the tank still.
And I think he'll have some gas in the tank when he's with Arizona, and he's like the fifth option in the passing game, and no one's paying attention to him. J.J. Watt on defense has been a nice addition. Chandler Jones has always been, to me, an underrated D end. He's always getting double-digit sacks. They look good, man, and I was and I still am a big critic of Kingsbury's hire because he definitely didn't deserve the position, but now that he has it, he's definitely making the most of it, man.
The offense look good. The offense looks good, and the defense come around.
Props. You know, they definitely look very impressive.
All right, so leaving the NFC West, that leaves, let's jump to the NFC North.
The NFC North, the Green Bay Packers are going to win the NFC North. I think you could see a wild card team possibly come out of there. I like Minnesota, man, but Minnesota loses so many close games and so many crazy
consistently.
Yeah,
but that's been for several seasons now.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, their other nicknames should be "can't get right." That's what the Minnesota Vikings are. They can't get right. So,
what about how you feeling about what the Bears have shown? I think they showed both sides, good games and horrible games. They're a wild card team.
No, I don't think you could win. I mean, unless you see a great improvement from Justin Fields, I don't think in today's NFL you could win by scoring 20 points in games. I don't think that's feasible. You play too many good teams that could score too many points, no matter how good the Bears defense is. So,
Detroit is still winless.
Detroit is garbage. Detroit is doing what they should be doing. They're in the front, leading the race to get the first pick in the NFL draft. Exactly where they should be.
Draft the next player that's going to end his career early, unexpectedly.
I mean, Detroit's been in some games, though. What I give them credit for is they're playing hard, but they're definitely done. I don't see the Bears making it. The Packers are definitely going to win the division. I could see Minnesota fighting for a wild card spot.
Okay. We got NFC South left.
Tampa's going to win the division. New Orleans, I see fighting for a spot.
I was confident the Panthers looked good up until McCaffrey got. Yeah, it's been a decline. McCaffrey getting hurt doesn't help, but what appeared to be a dominant defense almost looks like they've gotten tired.
Sam Darnold's also reverted to the turnover machine we saw with the New York Jets. He's just throwing the ball. True
that.
I just think the two best teams in this division are Tampa and New Orleans. I don't see this as a division where three teams make the playoffs out of this division.
The three-team division would be the NFC West, in my opinion.
Yes, I could see that. You know, so there's going to be, three division winners and three wild cards. And then the top seed will get a bye.
Four division winners.
Top seed will get a bye. The three will play the three wild cards. So I could see two wild cards going to the West, and the other wild card going to be San Francisco, Minnesota, New Orleans, possibly the Panthers, but probably not. The NFC East is a one team. That's it. It's just
we already talked about that.
Yes. So those are the only viable teams because I think Seattle's done. They're going to lose too many games before Wilson comes back. Then that leaves, like I said, San Francisco, New Orleans, Minnesota, Carolina, like you said. It leaves those teams, possibly the Bears, fighting for the final three wild card spots.
Let's hop over to the AFC. Where you want to start?
AFC East, the Buffalo Bills are going to win the AFC East. I don't see the Patriots making the playoffs, so
that is not a three-team division for sure.
No, most two, and the second team would be the Patriots. The Dolphins are a disappointment. They look terrible. The Jets are the Jets. They look like they've always looked. They're very consistent and looking awful.
AFC South.
AFC South. Give me the teams. We got the Titans,
Indy,
Houston, Who's the final team? The
Said
Jacksonville
Indy.
Jaguars.
Urban
They finally
Meyer.
got a win. The
Yeah,
Jaguars
in London.
aren't making the playoffs.
They are not.
The Titans are going to win this division.
Yes.
Could I see the Colts fighting for a playoff spot for a wild card? Sure, but they need to get healthy. They need to start winning games.
For me, they would be in the not likely category with the Panthers, but we're 1/3 of the way. There's a lot to still unfold.
More than likely, this is a one division playoff team. The AFC, what's next? North.
Let's do North.
We got Pittsburgh. We got Baltimore is going to win the division.
Right.
We got Pittsburgh and
the real can't get rights. The real can't get rights. Cleveland Browns. But
the Cleveland Browns made it to the playoffs last year. They won a round in the playoffs. They're getting better.
Are they though?
They're very injured. I mean, they won a round in the playoffs last year. People talk like the Cleveland Browns should, if they're not winning the Super Bowl, it's a disappointment. They're the damn Cleveland Browns. If they make the playoffs and win a round,
everybody should be happy.
Yeah, man. I don't understand why the Cleveland Browns expectations are so sky high.
I can only speak for me.
And
if not
injured football team.
If not W's and playoff wins, I just thought we would get more exciting football, more high-powered offense. Running game is phenomenal
to watch, man. They just lost the football game to the Chargers 47-42. I don't understand what people
That's true.
watch. They
maybe.
went to Kansas City week 1 and they dominated the Chiefs, to be honest with you, and they should have won the game, and they lost it. The only game where I felt like the Cleveland Browns truly got their butt whooped was this past week. I mean, Arizona put it on them. Didn't come to play with them. They just came and destroyed them.
I'll consider being nice to the Cleveland.
I could see Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore's going to win the division. I could see all three teams in the playoffs. I definitely could.
Yeah, who's their fourth team? Who did we leave out? Cincinnati.
Make it too.
Cincinnati. It's
So I think Cincinnati's better than Pittsburgh. If you ask me, I think Cincinnati's better than Pittsburgh.
They can be, but because Cincinnati, I think Cincinnati needs a little more consistency.
No, man. Joe Burrow at this stage of his career is way better than Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger is a liability. So I'll take Cincinnati's quarterback play over Pittsburgh's. This division is crazy, man. But I could definitely see 3 teams from this division making it. All of them are still in contention for a playoff spot.
They are fun. That division is fun. So who we got left? The AFC West.
Another division where you could get 3 teams. I could see all of the wild cards coming out of these 2 divisions because this division has the Raiders. It has Denver. I don't believe Denver's on the same level as the Raiders, Kansas City, and the Chargers. The 3 best teams in this division to me are the Chargers, the Raiders, and Kansas City. And man,
but we don't have a winner for that one yet. That one's open, I think.
That one's open. The Chargers were looking good until they took that ass whooping at the hands of Baltimore. I really like the Chargers, man. I believe in Herbert. I just think that game was an aberration. But it's easy to sleep on Kansas City right now because they haven't looked good, but they're still the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, I won't. You can't sleep on Mahomes to talk about quarterback play, and their coach is Andy Reid. But that defense is struggling. Not even struggling, it sucks. Their go-to man is getting exposed, Honey Badger. So we'll see.
He's not getting as exposed as badly as Sorensen. They had to bench Sorensen. Sorensen was getting abused. Oh my God. Oh, that was terrible. I felt bad for him. It's just awful.
So if I run through my mind and where we are in terms of the parity, there might just be 4 teams that are out completely. What were you going to say?
I mean, I think there's only 4 teams competing for 3 wild card spots. It'll be Kansas City, San Diego, the Raiders. 2 of them are going to lose the division. And it'll be the whole AFC North. I think Baltimore will win that division. It'll be Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati. So that'll be 5 teams competing for 3 wild card spots. The other 2 divisions are only going to get the division winner, in my opinion.
Right. Well, I'm not counting Denver out yet. Denver, and we said we gave if we were playing spades, the Colts, we left at a maybe. A
I just
possible, not a
I
maybe.
just
They are possible.
I don't think those teams can compete with the other teams that I just mentioned.
I
I
feel
don't
you.
think their
I feel you.
quarterback play is good
I feel
enough.
you. No, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, once it plays out, I hear what you're saying.
Yep.
It's been fun. I mean, it's
Like, look
been
at what
fun
happened in
all
the
the way
Denver
through.
Raiders game this weekend. I mean, Raiders at Denver. The difference in the game is the Raiders have Derek Carr and the Broncos have Teddy Bridgewater. You know, Bridgewater was constantly harassed and couldn't make the plays that needed to be made. Carr made the big plays. The Raiders easily won the game. So
Lots to look forward to in the rest of the season, even with my team sucking.
Unsolicited genius.
Are you entertained? What you been listening to?
in terms of music,
Yes.
dog, I've been real nostalgic in my 90s R&B, man. For some reason, I've been really getting down on that. Just singing in the car by myself type of shit. Just a lot of like Jodeci, Drew Hill, Boys to Men, Mary J. Blige, Total, SWV, stuff like that, man. I've really been just listening to a lot of that lately.
I noticed you didn't say R.Kelly.
Is someone in the car with me when I'm playing it? No, I'm just playing. Here's the thing. I don't judge anyone if they listen to R. Kelly's music still. You know, musically, the man, you could argue, is a musical genius.
Hands down.
Yeah, the thing that I will say to you, some of the songs now listening to the lyrics to me are just creepy. And some of those songs I can't listen to. Some of the songs I still enjoy when they come on, and I do let them play. In terms of the person, though, let me just unequivocally say, you know, fuck R. Kelly. I can't stand a pedophile. You and I are fathers. I, in my profession, deal with a lot of children, young adults. And to me, is the worst thing you could ever be, Carlton. You could justify murder. You could justify stealing. You could justify why people do some of these other horrendous or horrible crimes that we see in society. But pedophilia, to me, is the worst thing you could ever be. I have no sympathy for R. Kelly, but I don't begrudge anyone that still likes to listen to his music. He's just a horrible human being. He's just a horrible human being.
Yeah, listen what you want to listen to. For me, even if I wanted to go back to something and bump to it, because you're right, I do think he is a musical genius. I get the creepers. The songs just don't vibe with me the same.
It depends on the song. See, like Step in the Name of Love, I see nothing wrong with that. When I hear it, I challenge you not to move when you hear the song. But
it hasn't come on. It has not come on for me to assess that challenge.
Is yuck to me now, even though it's not his song. Aaliyah's Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. Yuck. And you know he wrote that song. And it's just like, Robert, what are you doing? Dog, he was telling us in the music for years that he was like that. The Pod Piper of R&B, Chocolate Factory, just all of these. I'm with you. He's just a gross human being, but I don't begrudge anyone that still listens to the music.
So as much as, talk about listen, I have been watching and then listening to Wu-Tang on their Wu-Tang saga. To just know me growing up in Miami, what that time period meant for me in life, but also musically, to see what I view to be one of the most brilliant groups, entities in music history, to see their story unfold in front of me while having their journey as musicians as the backdrop. It's fun. There's some emotions in it, but I really enjoy watching and listening to the Wu-Tang saga. With that, what have you been watching?
My movie, man, I've watched a movie recently that I've seen again for the first time forever. It's called The Chef. I put Carlton onto the movie. I love the movie. It's about a chef who goes through a personal journey to develop a relationship with his son and follow his true passion in life. And he's able to share that with his son as a father of a son that's just recently turned 2 years old. The movie touches at my heartstrings. I really enjoyed the movie. I recommend it to anybody. And, the movie really, for me, it helps me to try to keep in mind what's really important in life and to prioritize family and relationships and friends and love, even though it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind of trying to make money or in our jobs. Just a good reminder of what's really important in life.
I definitely enjoyed it. So first, thank you for putting me on. I saw myself in my own personal passion projects in wanting to live the life I believe exists for me. I saw myself reflected in a lot of the story as well. So thank you for putting me on that. I watched Dave Chappell's The Closer. Before I say my piece, have you watched it?
I have not watched it. I read about the controversial jokes in the piece, and I've read a lot of opinions as to what should happen or shouldn't happen to him.
Well, in watching it, it was Chappelle. I thought it was funny, and I love his humor. Yeah, sometimes it get deep, sometimes it get dark, but like my English teacher used to say, there's a madness to his method, but there is a method. As far as the controversy goes, there's so many layers to it. Every reaction, I feel like they aren't listening to him. Every reaction that I've read or heard. But then in those reactions, what I read is them saying he isn't listening and or understanding them. So to talk about lines of work in my coaching practice, I talk about perspective and perception and how often that rules the day. And if ever in conflict with another, a path to clarity, if that's what you want. Because if you want to fight, if you want to fuss, if you want to argue, if your objective is to only to be heard, you don't have to listen. You don't have to empathize. But if you want clarity, if you want harmony, if you do actually want to get along, the pathway there is empathy. But it has to exist on both sides with both groups.
I haven't seen the special. You know, I've read the jokes that are controversial. I've also read about the part where at the end he brings it full circle and talks about a friend he has that's a comedian that I believe is transsexual, I believe, Carlton.
Transgender, I'm not sure. Yeah. Transgender, I thought.
To show that he is trying to understand, trying to empathize. My feeling on it is this, man. Like, Chappelle tells a joke or a story, I guess you can say, about the baby in this, right? And he points out that the baby shot a black man in the Walmart in 2018. Not one person was talking about canceling him or getting rid of the baby. Killing another human being. And nobody was talking about canceling him for this. But he comes out and he makes his homophobic statements, which they were homophobic. And everybody wants to get rid of him. And it's a fair question. What's worse, Carlton? A life or a comment that hurts your feelings?
Good question. And from my standpoint, it's not what's worse. If you take offense, there's nobody that can tell you how you feel about anything. To Chappelle's point and the point that you point out, that you articulate,
fair to say that someone dying is worse than anything anybody could say, whether that comment is racist or not.
I hear you loud and clear. What I am saying is feel how you want to feel about whatever occurs. But to your point, the baby killing somebody did not raise flags. It did not what was worse or who did the other thing. Simply put, killing somebody did not raise flags. So whether the homophobic comment should or should not have raised flags, I give you that. I'm saying that killing somebody did not raise flags. And there's a list of other things that raise flags. And for that to not be one of them, I too think is problematic. Not saying the baby should have been canceled. There needs to be a discussion. And what it's indicative of is we value other things in this country more than we value life on multiple levels.
I am a person that does believe that people, like in public office, for example, should be held to a higher standard with the words and the comments that they use, because it does influence people, as you can see by the January 6th Capitol riots, to move in a direction they might not normally move in. But this is comedy. Comedy, to me, should be judged differently than other forms of speech in society, because, dog, in order for comedy to be funny, the joke has to be on somebody. And that's part of comedy. Like, you have to understand that when you tune in to see a comedy show. I've seen white comedians make jokes about Black people during roasts that were very racially motivated, but it's comedy. It was funny. I didn't find it to be offensive because I realized what I'm watching when I tune into comedy. The joke has to be on someone. Comedians have more license than other people to say things. You know, to me, what makes a great comedian, Carlton? Someone that gives you an honest play on society, but does it in a humorous way. And Chappell typifies that. He gives you an honest, raw play on our society that might make you feel uncomfortable, but he does find a way to do it in a humorous way. He's a genius in his craft. Like, that's exactly what it is. He's a genius of his craft. And like you said, it's not our place to tell someone what's offensive to them, but I just feel comedians just have more license than other people's to make plays on society. And the jokes are meant to, they have to be about somebody. It has to be about somebody at the end of the day. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Richard Pryor is one of the best, my favorite entertainer. Richard, Michael Jackson, we have to come back to that for a debate, but I loved Richard Pryor. And he spoke his mind, which I believe comedy is supposed to be. Now, you don't have to like it. If something is more offensive than funny, that's not the comedian for you, because there's plenty of comedians that their Black jokes do go too far for me, but they have it. When he show up on Netflix, I just dislike it and move on. My guess, and I'm not justifying or explaining the vitriol, but my guess is maybe just because of the size of Chappelle's platform, because there's so many other comedians when you just scroll down under Chappelle on top hits that say all sorts of stuff. But I'm with you. I always will believe comedy is a specific lane for the comedian to do his or her best to make the crowd laugh.
In regards to canceling Chappelle, you can't cancel someone that has the freedom that Chappelle has now in his career, man. He fought to get away from these networks. He's basically independent, and you can't cancel that. You just can't.
Nope.
There's a beauty in having that kind of power over and freedom over your creativity. I'm just never a big fan of oppressing anybody's speech, to be honest with you, Carlton. And, you know, I can't stand Donald Trump, but I've never been one to say he should be censored. His words are his words. He should be free to say those words.
Why do his words work? That's the question.
Yes,
but you don't have to answer that. Don't answer that.
Even
Just
though
keep
I
going.
do believe he has the freedom to say what he likes, I also believe he should be responsible for his words and realize that his words have, unfortunately, influence over millions of people.
Oh, he knows.
But
he knows they have influence.
Either he doesn't take that responsibility seriously, or he doesn't care what those words, what actions those words lead to. Either way,
all of the above.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
He definitely shouldn't be censored. I wish people would smarten up and not listen to him, but, you know, we don't want to ask for too much here.
Very dangerous. So we talked about what we listening to. We talked about what we watched. What have you read?
Well, I haven't got a chance to do any reading of any books, man. I've just been reading articles about Biden, about what's going on with our government.
That counts. That's submissible to the English teacher. Articles count.
I try to read articles from many different news sources to get all perspectives.
That's smart, man.
Try to form as unbiased of an opinion as possible.
That's good of you. You are a scholar and a gentleman. So I just finished reading the Septimus Heap series with my family. 7-book series. The author is Angie Sage. Best way to describe it, if Harry Potter had a cousin and he had his own set of adventures going on. It takes place in medieval-ish times, I suppose, but it's all fantasy. It's, I think, in the teenage category, but for me, my son, my mom, anybody else rolling with us, when we're in the car, we like to listen to audiobooks. And so we caught up to this one. And so it basically is something that we read as a family. But it's very entertaining. The audio version of it does great with the visuals. And it's something that readers of all ages can enjoy. So Septimus Heap, Angie Sage is a great series.
I was like, Angie Stone is writing books?
She might have something out there.
I didn't know she might have some 7-part book series
though. Angie Sage. So we're going to take a break and be back with our conclusion and wrap up the show.
You are listening to Unsolicited Genius.
Unsolicited genius.
All right. Anything you want to say before we head out, Mo?
Carlton, be safe, my brother. Love you all. We'll see y'all for the next episode.
All right. We don't have any housekeeping for today. So on that, we'll wrap up the show with a closing thought. As we do on this show, we talk a lot about things that draw out emotion, and a consistent emotion that we all feel in some way, shape, or form over one issue or another is anger. Anger in its own merits is not bad. You have the right to feel whatever it is you want to feel. Understand, anger is destructive. It will get things done, but it will get things done at a cost, be it an emotional energy cost to you or a relationship with the person, places, or things that the anger is directed toward. Feeling anger is nothing you need to change. Feel it. When it comes, feel it. I challenge you, I challenge us to do something constructive with it. Fire in nature brings about life. Not talking about the cigarette, burn the whole block down type fire, but when Mother Nature do it, she do it in an effort to bring about life. Things do get destroyed in the process, but new life comes nonetheless. So when you feel it, own it, don't run from it, don't bury it, don't hide it. You could talk to somebody about it if you're feeling it a lot, but when you get there, before you act or react based on it, ask yourself, how can I be constructive with this? How can we take this energy that we feeling about all these people, places, and things, and rather than destroy, rather than continue this cycle of the same old, how can we use this anger to create life? And on that note, I say good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Thank you for joining us.
You are listening to Unsolicited Genius.